I'm still experimenting with the Kentmere 200, and I've gone back into the field. So I'm shooting some 120, and I've got a 50 mil on my Hasselblad. So it's a 50 mil lens, and I'm going to a place called Hilton Falls. When you're testing a film, you kind of want to go somewhere where you know you're going to get something. And Hilton Falls will always get you something. Will it be brilliant? I don't know. It's springtime. The water might be flowing more than I want. Might be a lot of mosquitoes. It's freezing out for sure. But anyways, I'm going to go to Hilton Falls, and I'm going to try to get something that I can print just as I'm working and testing this new Kentmere 200 film. So I'm here, I'm shooting with the new Kentmere 200. I've got it at ISO 125. I'm going to meter off of those rocks kind of in the back there to the right of the waterfall. Meter off that, but we'll see how it goes. I'll probably wait for a cloud actually, so I don't have those crazy specular highlights. Let me paint a little bit of a picture of what's going on here. I've crawled down through the mud and I'm kind of standing in the creek. It's not deep over your boots, but I'm definitely getting my feet wet. Now you can see on the left there's part of an old mill, and it's in direct sun. Now I'm in the shade and I can't see the sun, so I'm kind of waiting for clouds to come, but I can't look up at the sun and see where the clouds are because I can't see it. So I'm waiting and waiting, and then a cloud would come and I would rush to take a couple of pictures. First off, I would rush and do a meter reading, and then I would rush and take the pictures. And this rushing has created a bit of a problem. So let me show you the contact sheet of the first roll. I only wanted to shoot one roll, but didn't work out that way. As you look at the contacts, you'll notice there's those 3 blank frames. Well, in my brilliance, see, I was close to the waterfall. It doesn't look that close, but I was close to the waterfall, and I'm getting mist on my lens. So in my brilliance, I thought, oh, I'll put the cap on. So I've got the cap on to keep the lens from getting misted up. Now a cloud comes, and I'm anxious because it's only going to be there for 10 or 20 seconds. I'm anxious to get the meter reading and take some pictures. So what I forget to do is take the cap off. Now, that happened again and again and again, and I finally just figured out I gotta look through the lens before I take the picture no matter what. So those 3 frames are just my foolishness as I left the cap on while taking the picture, probably when the light was perfect. Anyways, here, this is what you get. Now, I've tried to do the pictures in the shade, as I mentioned. Because I muffed up so much of the first roll, I decided to shoot a second roll. And it's from this second roll that I'm making the print. Now, the second roll was the roll that I processed at 60% of my processing time, because I'm trying to experiment to figure out what's the development time that I like with my Ilford ID11 chemistry. So the first roll I did at 70%, but the one that I made the print from, I actually did at 60%. So 60%, that's what we're looking at here. A negative that was processed at 60% after being shot at ISO 125. So this is the first print of this negative, and this was 10 seconds, which in theory would give me the proper exposure. But this looks a little bit light to me, so this was 10 seconds. So this is a straight print at 15 seconds. I thought I might do 20 seconds, but I would have lost the whiteness of the water and I'd have to dodge it out anyways. So I decided to go with 15 seconds. It's a little bit heavy, a little bit dark on the right, and it definitely needs to be burned in on the left. This is now the third print, again 15 seconds, but I've taken about 3 seconds of a dodge off of the rocks on the right, and I've burned in for 2 more stops, 2 more exposures on the left-hand side and the top and a bit on the bottom. So there was kind of like a large burn for one more exposure, and then just the corners for the second exposure. So 15 seconds plus 2 burns, and of course the bit of a dodge. This is my fourth print. Again, 15-second exposure. I've dodged maybe 8 seconds off of the left-hand side underneath the waterfall to get a little more detail there. And I did 3 exposure burns. So I burned quite a bit on the left-hand side with the first one. And then the second burn exposure was less, more on the corners and a bit more on the top. And then the third one was just a touch more. It was a full exposure, but along the top, along the left side, a little bit along the bottom. So 3 burns and a 15-second exposure, a bit of a dodge on the right. So I'm going to call this my final print. Could I make a better print? Yeah, but this is resin coated paper, so why would you bother? I mean, I'm just doing a film test here, right? So I'm going to call this my final print. And, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. I think this film is pretty nice. The Kentmere 200. It's got great shadow detail. I seem to have held the highlights kind of how I like to have them. And overall, the grain structure seems great. I'm only making an 8x10 here. But very pleased with this film and pleased with the results and how easily I'm getting the results. It took a little bit of work to figure out the exact ISO, and it took a little bit of work to figure out the development time. But I think I've got a structure that I can work in and tweak as I go. So very pleased with the film, and I think it's going to be a great product for photographers. And it's so exciting that someone has come out with a brand new film for us to play with and work with.